Hi there, I'm Mr. Manoj, and today I'm going to be speaking about the the things what every student must keep in mind when they start their final school years. Now, you could be following any particular curriculum in any part of the world. General ideas, they're kind of same all the time. I am presently teaching in Cambridge International IGCSE AS and A level for many, many years now. I'm in United Arab Emirates, almost spent 20, 21 years here already, and about 10 years in India teaching Indian CBSE. So it's been a long time, and over this period of time, I was able to gather some basic information presently, which keeps on updating because information keeps changing, and of course, scenarios keeps changing, particularly looking at what we are going through at this present moment of time. Now, there are a few pointers which I would want to bring forward to your attention, and I hope you will find this very useful to keep in mind as you progress in your final school years. Now, you could be following the Cambridge International A-level program, ASN A-level program. You could be following the Indian curriculum, the Pakistani curriculum, Bangladesh, Sri Lankan, or UAE, any national curriculum. The idea obviously always remains the same. Once you start the final year, there's a lot of other things what you have to keep in mind, not just completing the school year, because this particular years will involve parallel planning for your beginning of your tertiary education. That's your university life. And sometimes the decisions made in the final year will affect where would you land up in your tertiary education. So there are few things which could, help you to navigate this particular issue. Now, I have here a couple of websites which I have prepared for chemistry. I have seen the information situations changing. So one of the key elements that I always emphasize to my students is adaptability, changing, and make sure that you collect the latest information, which is absolutely your key to your success in this particular years and beyond. Now, so you could always have a look at my YouTube videos, in which I have put some chemistry videos there for different levels, and also there is a dedicated Facebook group which takes care of any questions and doubts you have in chemistry, particularly in IGCSE, AS, and A level, Cambridge International. Okay, right. So let's have a look at my opening point, which I think is one of the most important thing that you have to keep in mind when you start planning your final years in school. In my personal opinion, this is one of the biggest mistake what kids usually do. When you select your course, when you think about the course that you want to start in the university, there has to be a correlation between your present existing academic achievement and what are your plans for the university. It has to match. There's obviously you have to do very well in your school life, right? You have to be showing strong academic achievements and performance. And sometimes I have seen children selecting certain type of courses which are very high intense courses, and they may not be achieving very high academic proficiency in school, and that deficiency between the two sometimes will result in students getting into frustrations, or sometimes they have to take a U-turn and change the course and so on. So I highly recommend that first step should be you look at your present academic grade, see what you need, what grades do you need to reach where you want to reach. So, but here's another thing. Not everybody in school usually gets a very high grade all the time. Now, that does not mean only those children who got very high grades will get into university. It's not like that. Thankfully, there are a lot of opportunities, and in fact, the students who are sometimes not academically very highly motivated also can find very, very suitable, excellent placements in different courses all over the world. And they do very well. So, of course, I understand the pressure that you go through to make sure that your grades are the best that you can. You need to continue to work on that. You need to make sure that you put your best foot forward and make sure that you have the best possible, highest grade that you can get, which obviously prepares you for the university ahead. But very, very important, always do a very careful self-evaluation. Where do I stand? What grades am I getting? What course am I looking into? Am I okay for that course? Or should I be looking into a course which was more suitable to my grade? Certain courses like medicine, dentistry, engineering, tech courses needs very high proficiency in your final school years. But even for commerce. But again, the thing is, I'll be talking a lot of detail as I keep moving from slide to slide. But number one step, I need everyone to please make sure you spend enough time on this particular point to first of all make a decision as to what course would you be interested when you start the university. Now, the next point for you is when you apply, you must apply to many places, not just one. Now, I keep telling my students you need to be working on your plan A, and then you need to have a plan B, then you need to have a plan C and a plan D. What that means is it's not just one university or one particular place that you want to apply, because there are thousands and thousands of students who will be applying along with you, and the number of seats offered by any particular university for any particular course is usually very limited. So it could be between 40 to 60 seats per course per university, depending on how many sections they have. So it's very, very competitive. And the thing is, now with the international ease of international movements, students from different parts of countries, they move to different areas for university education. So all the more you're competing with kids from all over the world for a certain number of seats. So you always have to have plan A, B, C, D. Plan A is obviously the one that you really, really want to get into. However, most of the time, sometimes plan A doesn't work. So you need to have alternative universities. So I usually recommend 5 to 10 different universities where you will apply. So you need that information about which all universities you need to be applying for. But don't forget, this will require clearance from your parents as well. Now, once you decide on your list of universities, we'll be talking in detail about financial matters towards my later part of my video. We'll talk about money matters. You need to make the parents aware, particularly if you are the first one in the house to go towards university. Believe me, the parents are also sometimes not aware. So it's your job, it's your duty to make sure you collect all that information and give heads up to your parents much in advance, because tertiary education is very, very expensive compared to secondary education where you are currently now. So tertiary education has a lot of higher cost, and the financial planning is one of the key things when you decide all this. I have seen children who last minute change decisions, parents who last minute pull the plug. There could be loss of job, loss in business. There could be because of the present pandemic situations, there's so many ups and downs financially people are going through. It's absolutely crucial that you collect the information, and you need to know how much is the cost of the course. You need to know how much is the tuition fee, your residence fee, your personal expenses, your insurance, your transport. You need to add all that and then draw a picture to your parent that this is what it's going to cost, and make sure that your parents are okay with it. And once you have only the approval from your parents, then you can go and select your 5 to 10 different universities, what I was talking about in my earlier slide. So you need this to be sorted out at the beginning itself, so that there is no confusion towards the end of the year when you're finished with your final school year. And then when you start the process of application, there should not be any doubts between you and your parents and what are your goals going to be, what are the places you'll be applying to. Okay, so you have to make sure you have a very clear picture of the financial issues. Uh, Deadlines. Now, this is where your research comes in. I mean, you have to, when you start your final school year, you could be doing your Indian curriculum, Pakistani curriculum, Egyptian, National Board, Cambridge A level, Edexcel A level, or any they could be in different curriculums. It doesn't matter. Some schools have 13-year systems, some have 12-year systems. But the moment you are in the final years, one of the things what many kids they keep forgetting is there's something called as deadlines, the application deadlines. Some of them, and the reason behind many children missing them is because they don't do proper research. And when they get stumble on a particular information, sometimes it's already too late. So that's why, as I said, as you start your final school years, you need to be starting to work on your tertiary education also. You need to keep an eye on, okay, this is the course I want to do, this is the place I want to apply, and these are the universities. And once you have the approval of your parents, you need to go on each of those university websites and check what are the application deadlines. So obviously, what I would suggest is finalize 5 to 10 different universities where you want to apply. So usually this is a number, minimum number, which I would strongly recommend. So what course are you going to be applying for? What requirements do they need? Some courses need 3 A levels, some needs 2 A levels. I'm going to be talking about each country wise also later in this presentation today. Students coming from India, Pakistan doing their national curriculum or Egyptian and they usually have 5 subjects or 6 subjects in grade 12. So so each university has different requirements. So you need to check based on what curriculum you are following. So what requirements do they need? And the universities are very clear in this. On their websites, you'll find all that information at the time of application. So you need to collect that information. And I strongly suggest that you make some kind of a data sheet where you write down the name of the university, write down the name of the course, write down the application deadlines, write down how many grade final year subjects they need, what subjects they need, what do they cost. Write down all that information, and this information is going to be very crucial for you and your parents. And you keep collecting this information. It helps you to make a very good decision when the time is absolutely right. So make sure that you complete all of these points which I mentioned here. So make a data sheet, some kind of a Word or an Excel sheet where you put on all this information. And remember, it's all about the timings. It's all about how much information you can get it out. And everything is available on the websites of each of these universities. Um, Now, this is where I think many students, I have seen over the years, many students having problem there. We make plans, as we say, man proposes, but God disposes. Basically, plans can change. Plans can change anytime. And what happens when the plans change? What happens, suppose, God forbid, you're not able to get into a certain university of your choice or a certain course of your choice? Then what happens? In that situation, what are you going to do? Are you going to take a gap year? Or are you going to apply again after one more year? Or do you have any alternative plans? Alternative plans or alternative courses. Now, what that means is, okay, you plan for, let's say, an engineering course and a certain course, and let's say it did not work. So what options do you have? Do you want to wait for one more year, or would you reconsider your course options? And is there anything else you would be interested in? So what I strongly suggest is you should at least list down 2 or 3 courses, that you would like to do. I mean, example, someone says I want to do medicine. But okay, what happens if you don't get medicine? Okay, would you be interested in dentistry? Would you be interested in pharmacy? You see my point? I'm trying to say you make a list of at least 3 or 4 different courses and find out some universities in each one of them. And just for safety, make sure you apply to them before the deadlines. The thing is, you can always take the final decision once your admissions comes through. So it's perfectly fine. Kids usually get selected in more than one universities, and then you can make your final choice after discussing with your parents. That's best way of making sure that you do not waste time after you finish your grade 12 or A levels, right? So you have courses lined up, and once you apply in multiple courses in multiple universities all over the world, you actually have a much safer and higher chance of making sure that you have your path rolled out after you finish your high school. Um, now, uh, interesting slides now. Common misunderstanding among most of the students. If I ask any particular student, okay, if I give you bio and chemistry, we're talking of PCB as we say, sorry, physics, chemistry, and bio. If I ask any student, if I have physics, chemistry, bio as your major subjects in your high school years, what courses do you think are available for you in the university? And won't you agree with me that the most common answers we get is medical, dentistry, and pharmacy? I mean, it's the very, very obvious three answers that we get. And I'm going to show you, and I'm going to, hopefully, I'll try to convince you that this is not true. There are so many different courses available, and each of these courses are perfectly accepted, and they have the people who pursue them, they have a beautiful lifestyle. They are valuable members in our social structure. Now, if you look at these courses available, this is for biology and chemistry as major grade 12 subjects. Again, I will be getting into a slide where we'll talk about each courses need what kind of final year subjects. But if you have biochemistry and physics in your final years, these are the other alternative courses also what you could consider: nursing, physiotherapy, sports medicine, sports physiotherapy, public health, healthcare management. You could read about them. You could actually, take a moment to note down these courses, go on the internet, find out about these courses. One of the things what we, I think many of us, we don't do, we don't find out. We go with our biased opinion on some particular matters only. If you don't know about certain thing, how would you know, would you be interested or not? So I strongly recommend go on internet, look at each of these options, find out about them. What do these people do? What is their job profile? What are the job opportunities? And then what kind of salaries do they get? And what are the career advancements? I mean, where do you grow once you start into it? Where is your growth line? So you find out all this information. And in fact, this is not the only slide. I'm going to show you another one. And it's still biology and chemistry. You see, this is the second slide. Still, there are so many courses which I have. Each of this which I'm showing you is usually a 4-year undergrad. Most of them are professional degree programs. You could then decide to finish your master's in them. You could decide to continue it up to PhD level. So there are so many options available, and these are all technical. Most of them are all technical courses, and they are professional courses, and very high requirement in our social structures for present days. So these were some of the major courses available if you have bio and chemistry in your final school years, not just medicine, dentistry, and pharmacy, as most of us believe. And here I'm going to show you now. These are the courses with physics, chemistry, and maths, PCM. Now, typically, of course, many people will say, okay, engineering. I mean, fine. But then again, if I ask students how many different kinds of engineering program do you know, we don't get many answers. Most of the kids will probably say chemical, electrical, mechanical, or computer, just a few of them. But there are so many different kinds of engineering: civil, electric, computer, aerospace, IT, architecture, mechatronics, which is a combination of mechanical engineering and electronics there, material engineering, digital security, extremely high profile right now, gaming technology, which is one of the most sought after these days. There's so many. Each of this is a branch of engineering what you can look into. These are all technical courses. They're all professional courses. and we'll talk about what subjects would you be. Remember, mathematics definitely would be required in your final school year if you want to get into any of these courses. More courses available with physics, chemistry, and mathematics. I mean, if you look at these courses, each of this is a proper degree, undergrad degree program available in the universities. In your home countries, abroad, anywhere, you could search for them. You could find out what is the job profile. You can find about them, career prospects, growth prospects, and so on. So this is for physics, chemistry, and math students. All these are different options available for you. I suggest you to could take some screenshots and note down these different courses as I keep showing you. Then I have some listed for commerce. Usual complaints I get from many students that maybe commerce kids don't have many options. Oh, you will be surprised. I feel commerce students actually have more choices compared to science students, and they are extremely highly job oriented courses, and they are the basic backbone of our social structures also. I mean, literally everything from banking and hospitality and airlines, everything is managed by them, these students. So have a look at these courses and you'll be surprised. I showed you approximately 2 slides for physics, for bio and chemistry, and I showed you 2 slides for maths and physics and PCM combination. I'm going to be showing you 4 slides for commerce. It means there's so many courses available which you can also look into. And let's have a look at some of these courses. Film and media for people who are creative. Journalism. I know in our time, in your parents' time, many of these were not popular, and that's sometimes a tussle which happens in the homes. I know sometimes the elders, I know sometimes there is some parental pressure which comes. It's all about information. What I suggest is if the information is not there, it's for you to get that information and bring it out in open with your elders and parents and talk to them. You need to convince them with the information and data that you collect. So all of these courses which I have listed here, many of them were not known, maybe were not very popular courses in the university many years ago, but now they are all prominent courses. They're financially very secure and they pay very well. And these are courses which you can pursue up to your highest level of your academic proficiency. And this is the second slide, still continuing with different undergrad degree courses available for commerce students. There's so many of them. And this is slide number 3. Again, with commerce subjects. All of these, most of them in creative arts, media, multimedia, event management, hospitality, all of these are major players in our today financial sectors today, banking. And this is slide number 4. We're still continuing. You see how many options are available for the commerce students. Now, here's something interesting for science students. I would want all of you to please listen to this carefully. If you are a science student, you actually have um, quite a few extra choices in terms of you could decide to continue down the science path. After you finish your high school, you could continue towards science in terms of any of those tech courses which I spoke about. Or you have the option of switching to commerce subjects in the university. Now this is brilliant, isn't it? I know there are students who've done so well in their school life academically, high achieving students in science background, having standardized subjects, mathematics, physics, chemistry, bio, IT in the final years, school years, and completely switching to typical commerce subjects in the university. The universities are okay with it and they do very well. So you actually have a choice. Now, I know this choice is not available in every country, like traditional countries like India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh may not have many universities who allow this. But if you look at in Gulf region, in UAE, if you look at Europe, Elsewhere, there are so many universities which are more than happy to accommodate science students into their commerce streams courses as well. So look into that option in case you change your mind by the time you finish your school year. If you change your mind, if you do not want to pursue more into science background, you could completely switch into any of these four slides which I showed you with so many commerce subjects. You could just pick any one of them and you can continue your university education there. That's a wonderful thing. Unfortunately, the commerce students or art students cannot take science related courses in the university. So that's a kind of an added advantage for the science background. Now, to talk about some basic information of certain countries, being in UAE has given me an opportunity to interact with children from different countries and different routes they normally take when they start their university life. And the information that we gather, that's what I'm trying to share with you. Some basic information which you'll find it interesting, and you should probably keep a note of these things. When it comes to UAE, the minimum number of subjects in, for example, if you're following the Cambridge curriculum, it's 2A level to get the equivalency in UAE. Of course, 2A level is just the bare minimum. What we normally recommend is 3A level, which opens the doors to any university in any part of the world. So 3A level is always the best, but 2A level is absolutely the minimum needed in UAE for requiring admission to any universities here, government or private. When it comes to UK, usually UK, US, Canada, 3A levels is always preferred. Now, there is something special about these universities here. When it comes to UAE, for example, if you want to apply for medicine, for pharmacy, dentistry, they would want you to have biology and chemistry in your final A levels, which is your final school year. In your AS level, which is equivalent to grade 11, let's say in Indian Pakistani curriculum, normally recommendation is 3 AS level. When it comes to IGCSE, they need a minimum of 5 IGCSE. This is with respect to UAE I'm talking about. But normally, if you're a Cambridge International student, you would be probably having 6 or 7 or 8 IGCSE. I'll talk about each one separately. I'm basically talking of UAE at this point of time. So, but then that's just the bare minimum. So what we always suggest is if you have a slightly more number of subjects, you have a higher chance, a better chance of getting accepted in the courses. Don't forget, UAE is very popular among students from all over the world because of the safety and the ease of the admission process and a good quality of life. So it's a very popular destination of kids from all over the world, and particularly the Asian expat community would prefer the kids to stay here. So competition is very intense. So more the number of subjects in A level, the more safer you become. UAE also has a MSAT examination. It's basically recently started about 2 years ago now, which is a test of maths and sciences and English. It's a standardized test which they all the students have to take, which is a compulsory mandatory step before you apply to universities there. UK, Canada, Australia, normally the countries like these, 3A levels is the usual thing that is required. Now, interesting thing about UK, Canada is particularly is if even if you want to do BSc Bachelor of Science in biology or zoology or health allied sciences, any of these, they always would want the students to do A-level mathematics. Now, this is something it might come as a bit strange to you because typically in Asia, it's not a requirement. Uh, Not all the Asian countries, let's say I'm talking of traditional Asian countries like UAE or maybe in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, or Sri Lanka, having A-level maths may not be a requirement for medical, pharmacy, dentistry, or any allied health science courses. However, when you come towards UK, Canada, they actually prefer students to have A-level mathematics. This is very, very important. So if you're planning to go towards these countries, make sure that you have your maths subject with you till the final school year. Along with that, then you can have biology and chemistry and physics. Out of these three, you could have maybe two subjects at least. So with mathematics, biology, and chemistry, all your health science courses are available for you. So do keep this point in mind. I have seen countries like Jordan, they need A-level mathematics for most of their courses. So there are country-wise specifications required. So it's all about the research. Make sure you do your proper research to have all that information. However, having said that, I'm not saying that if you don't have A-level maths, you won't be able to apply. I'm not saying that. But the number of universities where you can apply in these countries, UK, Canada particularly, will be significantly reduced. But you will still get university and courses in health sciences, allied health sciences, where you could apply without mathematics being one of your subjects. When it comes to US, very, very, very popular, one of the most popular destinations in the world for international students because of the opportunities of scholarships available, good quality of life, and of course, highest standard of education. And the application process for US is usually very strict. However, one of the most important feature is they rely heavily on your SAT exams results. So SAT 1, Scholastic Aptitude Test, is a test of English and mathematics. And along with SAT 1, you may be also encouraged to do SAT 2, specifically in mathematics and sciences, physics, chemistry, and bio to improve your grades and your chances for you to get through. Once again, keep in mind countries like US, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand are extremely competitive with kids from all over the world applying for these universities. So you need to put your best foot forward if you are planning there. When it comes to Malaysia, they also need 3 A levels. And the reason why I've picked up these countries, because being in UAE, as I said, these are the most of the places where we have seen students here in the Gulf region, the expat students, they try to move. So I'm just trying to get information from there for these countries a bit more detail. Malaysia needs 3 A levels. So if you have 1 A level or 2 A level for any reason, that wouldn't make the cut. So you need to have 3 A levels. Remember, 3 A level kind of opens your doors to any university with respect to any place in the world. The students who are studying in India, for example, in Indian curriculum, they have 5 subjects in grade 12. So for them, there's not a problem. I'm specifically talking about, for example, any student doing a national curriculum will have more than 3 subjects in the final year. I'm talking with respect to Cambridge International, AS and A level, where there are options available. So sometimes students they take 2 A levels or 3 A levels or 4 A levels or 5 A levels depending on their academic proficiency and what they want to do. So, but remember, a 3 A level is a very safe number which you can keep in mind. So, Malaysia also needs the same, particularly for allied health and health science courses. They need physics, chemistry, and biology in the final school year. Um, or again, Malaysia is very, very popular in the sense it has a lot of international universities who have campuses there. Now, why this is attractive is these universities are not same expense as the parent universities. So, for example, a university like Wollongong University, I'm just giving an example, may have a different fee structure in the original parent country, Australia, but the same university in Malaysia will have a different fee structure, a slightly reduced fee structure. So that makes it very, very interesting option for many students and parents to be able to afford that kind of fee structure. As I said, we'll be talking about money matters very soon in my next slide, which I'm coming to. Sudan, well, students going towards Sudan for the university, they actually can start the university after the AS level. The requirement there is 7 IGCSEs, which must be done together as one exam. IGCSE is equivalent to grade 10 in most other school curriculums. They must do 7 IGCSE. It cannot be broken up, like you can't do 5 IGCSE at one year in one exam and 2 in the other. You can't do that. You need 7 IGCSE, and then they need in the AS level, which is equivalent to grade 11, advanced subsidiary. AS level, they need minimum 2 AS level. So with that means the students going back to home country Sudan, they don't need the A level to get into university. The application process can begin immediately after completing the AS level, which is good. They kind of save 1 year there. But this option is not given by most of the other countries. Presently, Sudan allows kids to do get into universities after AS. However, I have seen now the trend is most kids are not taking this option because they would rather prefer to finish the A level and look at it's advantages to finish A level because then you have more options available in case last minute, as I said, situations can change or decisions can change, and in case you want to apply to other universities in other parts of the world. So, and also completing A level and going to university is a much more safer option because you become more mature. University life is tertiary education is quite stressful for young students who sometimes may be too young to start. So it's always preferred that you finish your A levels and think about it. Egypt, well, interestingly, Egypt has a different situation now. Egypt needs 8 IGCSE subjects. However, it's okay to do, for example, 6 IGCSE subject in one sitting, and then you start your AS level, and with your AS level, you could do one IG there, or maybe with one A level, with your A level subjects, you can do one IG there. So you can do a little split mix and match. So you can complete your 8 IGCSE subject quota in a space of 2 years there. Don't forget, Cambridge examinations are held twice a year, so you have options to complete them in a staged manner. However, Egypt's need minimum at this point of time, they need only one A level for application to universities. So depending on what course you want to do, keep that as your, if you're going to interested towards engineering, tech courses, keep A level mathematics as your number one option. If you're going towards any health sciences courses, keep biology as your number one option. However, if you are studying in most of the Gulf countries, you know, local schools, they have their own regulations. As I said, UAE will have minimum 2 A level requirements. So it's not that you will be allowed to do only one A level. So you would be doing 2 A level minimum or three in your, depending on your school regulations. So it's a good thing even to do little extra than what your present country needs. The reason being, you could always use that as a safety net and apply elsewhere as well. When it comes to Europe for medicine, Hungary, obviously one of the very popular destinations. These are European countries which offer courses in medicine, dentistry, pharmacy in English. And they're very, very popular among students from Africa and Asian communities, particularly the expat community students who are very, very more than happy to start courses here. Now, the thing about Europe is it's now 3A level is once again one of the, it's like a cutoff minimum requirement needed. For example, any of the health science courses, you would be required, expected to have biology and chemistry as your major subjects. However, most of these universities will give you an option in your third subject. Your third subject could be mathematics, could be physics, could be IT. That's fine, but the two major subjects should be chemistry and biology. But this is with respect to if you're going towards health science courses. If you're going towards engineering or any of the tech courses, which I told about, A-level mathematics and out of physics, chemistry, and IT, you could just choose any two combination that you would think best suits your interest. So remember to choose your subjects in AS and A level in such a way that, as I said, it would be fantastic if you could manage 3 A levels because it kind of makes you safe to apply to anywhere in the world for any different university. But if you restrict your number of A level subjects to bring it to 2, which is just the minimum, the problem is it also reduces the number of choices you have when you apply to these universities. So do keep that particular thing in mind. When it comes to Georgia, China, Pakistan, India, same rules apply. They need 3 A levels, and once again, 3 A levels with the major subjects and these universities, these countries, they also have additional entrance examinations. So you are expected to write an entrance examination if you want to go towards Europe or you want to go towards your home country. There is going to be entrance examination. There is going to be your A-level grade. So there's a calculation done where they convert your IGCSE AS A-level grades, what you get, into a percentage. They look at your entrance exam percentage, and based on that, you get opportunity to start your course. Students going back to Pakistan or going back to India, but studied school outside their countries. Students from Bangladesh, when they go back to the country, they're kind of treated as international students, especially if you, let's say, there are opportunity for you to get into your own country universities through SAT 2 examinations. However, having cleared those exams and scored high in those, and once you secure your seat, your fee structure would not be the same as the local students in your home country. So you will be paying a higher fee structure, which would definitely, in terms of what's available outside in Europe, is still a bit lower. But you would be paying in US dollars there. So do keep in mind that if you are a student who finished your high school outside your home country, and particularly I'm talking of the typical Asian countries, and if you're planning to go back to your home country, you will probably have to take the SAT 2 route to get secure your seat for your courses that you apply for. And also there is one important aspect. Remember, the results for Cambridge usually comes in the month of August. For example, students going back to India find this a bit usually difficult because the universities in India starts a bit early. So there's always going to be a timing issue of deadlines to be met, and so you need to make sure that you're aware of what are the deadlines for you to apply, and at what time you get your Cambridge results. So that's another thing that you need to keep in mind. Now, towards the end of my discussion, money matters. This is where the entire issue comes down to. Just giving a rough idea so that, at the beginning itself, I did mention that tertiary education is very, very expensive. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to Asia, let's say, for example, if it's UAE, for example, any health science courses in UAE. In terms of, I'm talking in terms of UAE dirhams. To give you a rough idea, could be anywhere between 80,000 to 100,000 dirhams per year. Plus, this is just a tuition fee. Remember, there is something called as a tuition fee. Then there is something called as your hostel, your stay, your miscellaneous. There are so many other expenses what you have to look into. Your insurance, transportation, everything. So we are talking of roughly 120,000 dirhams per year in case you're looking at UAE, particularly. Now, this is with respect to UAE, yes. But if you look at, for example, if you look at Malaysia, for Malaysia, I would expect somewhere close to, for Malaysia, it's around 40,000 to 60,000 dirhams. So I'm talking with respect to dirhams. So if it's Malaysia, we are talking of 40 to 60,000 dirhams per year, including your tuition fee, your staying cost, and so on. Depending on which university you look into, it could differ by a factor of 5-10,000, depending on how you are staying and how much are you flying between your home countries and your universities. But Malaysia would be somewhere close to this region, depending on whatever courses you do. If you're looking towards Europe, we are talking of Hungary, Poland, Czech Republic, Italy, Bulgaria, any of these places for any health-related courses. If we are talking of roughly, again, the number comes almost the same. The tuition fee could be somewhere close to 60,000 dirhams, UAE dirhams, and you can add at least 25,000 dirhams for your personal expenses. This includes your staying, your accommodation, your food, transport, insurance, and so on. So 85,000, 90,000, depending on how much is what's your current way of life. Of course, you can always, save money on many things, but keep in mind that this is the approximate figure. But when it comes to, for example, UK will have anything between 14,000 to 22,000 British pounds per year. So that's and plus around 8 to 10,000 pounds per year is for your stay, your logistics and your food accommodation and so on. So and that's I'm talking with respect to pound. Presently, 1 pound is about 5 dirhams, close to it. So just to give you a rough idea. So again, we are talking of 100,000 to 110,000 dirhams per year approximately, depending on what course. There are courses available a bit cheaper than this also. If you look at, as I said, if you look at commerce courses, they may not be that expensive. If you look at the alternative courses which I had mentioned, you may. It all depends on your research. I mean, you could find courses in 10,000 to 12,000 pounds, 8,000 pounds per year. So it depends. UK in that way has got many options. So there is possibility, but I'm talking of the major health related or tech courses will be in this range. But if you go off the grid kind of courses, you can easily find them between 8,000 to 12,000 British pounds per year. So it is possible to find courses. It's all depending on how much research you're able to do. And don't forget, as an international student, you will be allowed to work. However, it does not exceed more than 20 hours per week. If you are caught working more than 20 hours per week, please remember the student gets deported. You don't want to do that because your primary objective to go to that country is to study and not to work and make money. So that's the minimum. That the same rule is applied for Canada and US and all these places where about 20 hours per week you are allowed to work. And in case you're found other than that, it just puts you in trouble. So, and also don't forget you need to spend time in studying, so you can't be spending too much time more than this for your work as well, which is kind of enough for you to manage a little day-to-day expenses here. When it comes to Canada, it's almost the same. Approximately, Canada also might go between 16,000 to 24,000 Canadian dollars per year. So please convert this information, whatever I'm saying, in your local currency and see what I'm talking about. So, but 16 to 24,000 Canadian dollars per year. Your hostel fee could range between 6,000 to 10,000 Canadian dollars per year, depending on what kind of accommodation do you select. Do you select shared accommodation or single accommodation? So it could, cost can vary. And they include meals. Your meal plans can also be included into your staying cost. So we're talking of it can go up to 12,000 with your meal plans and so on. So that's an approximate expenses for in terms of Canadian dollars for any kind of courses. Uh, for doing, for example, any health related courses like medicine, usually you have to do a 3 year pre-med course and then you can start. So it's usually a longer process, more expensive. So be careful. But very popular. Canada is very popular because it gives an opportunity to students to apply for postgraduate work permit after they finish the undergrad degree. Once you finish your 4 year undergrad degree, any tech courses, let's say you do, and you finish your degree, you actually have an opportunity to apply. And if you're granted this particular thing, you can work in Canada for 3 years, next 3 years, and on various jobs that you might get. And if your job that you're working is in the line of your degree, you can, after 1 year of minimum permanent job, you are actually eligible to apply for permanent residency as well. So Canada gives you an option for you to get into that situation where you have a possibility to eventually opens the door for settling there permanently. UK, on the other hand, has got some schemes right now for Indian students. The present scheme is like if you study there for a certain number of years, 2 or 3 years minimum, you are allowed to stay in UK for 2 years to find work and any kind of work. And again, if your work is in line of your what qualifications you have a chance to change your work visa and apply for residency after, but UK needs about 5 years of such work to be done in UK, 5 or 6 years, I'm not sure, before you can apply for that. So remember, international students usually are expected to finish your degree and come back to your home country. But Canada is offering a fantastic opportunity for you to actually go continue to stay there. UK gives you a limited opportunity to stay. It helps you to earn some money back on what you've based on what you've studied there. So it gives an opportunity for some money to be earned back. So when it comes to Australia and New Zealand, also almost the same. So 100,000 UAE dirhams is like a number that goes plus minus 5-10% here and there. So that's the kind of budget what we are looking into. Then you also, when I say Class A countries, I'm specifically talking of US, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. These are 5, 6 different Class A countries. They are the most expensive countries usually to be in. So make sure when you do your research, financial planning, as I said, is absolutely essential because you need to discuss this with your parents and you need to get their approval before you continue further into this research. You also need to find out what are the expenses back home. Usually, it's going to be much less, much comparatively compared to these places. So which is obviously very comfortable for everyone. So all this has to be discussed. How much uh, approximately when it comes to Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, it could be somewhere between 30,000 to 50,000 UAE dirhams. I'm talking with respect to if you go back as an international student. Okay, so remember financial planning, financial awareness. What I just discussed is just a general idea, just to very brief discussion. The details I would actually want each of you to get into the actual website and find out the correct financial information. Another mistake what many kids do when they look at the financial information of any university, you only look at the tuition fee. No, you should look at tuition fee, you should look at your hostel fee, your transportation once or twice a year, your insurance expenses, your personal expenses, and usually it's the tuition fee and your whatever staying fee, hostel fee they stay, and add 20-30% more to it. That gives you a rough idea how much will it cost your parents each year. So this is something that you really, really have to keep in mind. Well, I hope this particular talk has been helpful in some way to you. My intention here was just to put this idea in your mind as you start your final school years. Remember, it's not just completing the final school year. You need to be aware of these things. There are certain external examinations what you have to be aware of. For example, most of the universities abroad need IELTS examination, test of English, which you have to compulsory do. The best time to give IELTS examination is usually from November to January of your final school year. So the results is valid for about 2 years. Most universities would require you to give IELTS. If you're planning towards UK, there is something called as UK IELTS. It's the same IELTS examination, but it's more specific. It's kind of mentioned towards UK, so they prefer if you do that. US universities would prefer SAT 1 test of English, which has all the grades for you, marks mentioned there. So, as I said, UAE has MSAT. So, you need to be aware of which external examination you have to study for. If you're going back to your home country, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, there may be exams, internal entrance examinations which you have to study apart from your school curriculum. So remember, this final years is very tricky. It's not just considering looking at the final year. You have to look at what you have to study for your entrance examination. When is that entrance examination? When do you have to study for your IELTS examination for English? So you need to prepare for not only your school exams, but you also have to prepare for IELTS. You also have to prepare for the entrance examination for a specific university of specific course in your home countries in case you're planning that. All this has to be done simultaneously in this year. Usually IELTS does not need more than 1 or 2 months preparation. So you could register online a suitable date and accordingly you can prepare. I strongly suggest you to finish your IELTS examination by January of your final school year because once January finishes, you could concentrate fully on your A-level examinations or your final year school exams because you don't want those grades to get messed up. right? So I hope you got some idea about from this particular chit chat. I'll be very, very happy to have any questions from you. Please feel free to comment. If you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them based on what information I have. And wish you all the very best for this year. And I really hope that you all find your university, whatever you're destined to. And I wish you all the best for this year. Thank you very much.